How many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Jiminy crickets, folks, I don't feel so bad anymore. Never mind that we've been locked down for 18 months, the whole planet. Never mind they've absolutely jacked the whole system up. I just don't feel so bad. I don't feel so bad because now President Biden has been censored. Oh, you bet. You bet. Not the way we would hope, like censoring his poor decision making. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. The White House, though, decided to cut the audio feed because he was asked what he, the president, would do if Americans are still in Afghanistan after the 8/31. That would be August 31st deadline. And I guess Biden was going to get snarky or something, and they cut him. They cut his feed, cut the audio. Very interesting stuff, folks. Yeah, I guess I get censored. The president gets censored. I have a YouTube channel. The president has a YouTube channel, except no one watches his channel. And when they do, they just show up to hit the thumbs down button. God bless you all for doing that. Let them feel the love, folks. Let him feel it. Anyways, it's incredible. They're afraid of what Joe Biden's going to say. They're absolutely afraid. The guy is a knucklehead. I mean, it is just... He's filling my plate full of work. The guy is such a bumbling idiot. Okay, let's move on if we shall. But first, thank you to everybody who's coming to Patreon. We've got a lot of news articles there that can only be put there. I want to thank Mr. T, because Mr. T has been working really hard on some of these promo videos, like that intro video. He's got more coming. We're really trying to step up the entertainment value to kind of lift the spirits and make you feel a little bit better about all the shit that's going on. Yeah, I tell you, folks, get prepared. Get prepared. Now, get this. Biden, same Joe Biden, that guy up in D.C., he wants to defend his Afghanistan decisions and what he's doing there. And here's a quote from him, right? "My job is to make judgments no one else can or will make." He's absolutely right. That is his job, to make a judgment, a decision. No one else is stupid enough to make those decisions. Nobody. But he's willing to do it. Joe Biden, old corn pop, old hairy legs, old hair sniffing Joe. He's got no problem. Remember what he said? Remember what the president said? Right? If you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black. I mean, was that his quote? Did I hear that right back during the campaign? The guy's a loose cannon. He's a loose cannon, and his screws are coming loose. So, yeah, they got to keep a close eye on him. Someone asked a tricky question that's not on his programming list. Oh, you bet. You bet. Now, I've got a great story here about a tax audit that's going to happen. It's being called for in Wisconsin. That's all I can tell you here, folks. Go to Patreon to get the full scoop. Now, back to Joe Biden and his stupidity. Oh, by the way, I get the first half of the hour. You guys get the second half with your questions. It is the Q&A show. I'm going to do my monologue, talk about the things that really got my attention today. Folks, it is horrifyingly bad. I caught a news story. Yeah, get your questions into Jolene. Get them in the comment section here. Send them through Patreon. One way or the other, she'll get them. And by the way, don't forget, you can even send them to Jolene early. And no problem. If you got to watch the show later, you can't be here live on Patreon, you can still get your question. You still get priority. Okay, now, as if Afghanistan was not a big enough problem, with Joe Biden giving $85 billion in equipment over to the Taliban, not to mention just handing him the damn country and saying, here you go. Not only do you get all of our equipment, you get to own the country and all the resources and all the people and all the goats and all the chickens. Wow. What a deal. What a bargain of the century. Thanks, Joe Biden. You made America look great. So we've got the Taliban running things. The Taliban is telling the United States when you can and can't be here, who can and can't travel. Not to mention all of the, what shall we call them? I don't know. Are they assassinations? Are they just plain old murder? Are they religious executions? Right. But what Afghanistan needs, folks, right now is more idiots. And guess what? They got them. Guess who's there now? The Afghanistan branch of the ISIS organization. Right. So Yahoo News is slowly letting this slip out that, well, it's actually ISIS poses the biggest immediate terror threat to the evacuation. So we have now we have special terrorist bureaucracy. Well, the Taliban, they're going to be running the country, so they don't have time to run around and commit regular acts of terror. So now we're going to have ISIS in there screwing with the evacuation efforts at the Kabul International Airport. Way to go, Joe. Way to invite this mess into our lives. Mainstream media is starting to wake up. Tiny bit. This is not to give you false hope or to believe the mainstream media gives a frog's fat ass about your life, your family, our country, nothing. But the mandated system that's out there that they're pushing is starting to ask questions. I want you to go over to Patreon to get more information on that. It says even mainstream media is now asking big questions about ... It's over there waiting for you, folks. There's a lot of problems, folks, with the numbers, the stats, the figures, the facts. They want to stop me and you, folks, from having misinformation. That's so kind of them. It's so kind of them. I read today that over 1 million, or is it 1.5 million, videos have been pulled out of YouTube that were misinformation. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Well, how about this? The acting governor in New York, Governor Kathy Hochul, whatever the hell her name is, she has acknowledged 12,000 more deaths in New York from cerveza bug. 12,000 more than was previously disclosed by Governor Cumho. So you mean there were 12,000 hidden deaths? Does Cumho need to be prosecuted? Folks, it's blowing. Just what the hell is going on? And why can't something be done about it? Where is New York District Attorney, I'm sorry, not District Attorney, Attorney General Letitia James? Where is she on this? It's not the lie about the numbers that matters. It's what caused all of those deaths. Well, let's see if they're lying in New York. I bet they're lying in New Jersey, and I bet they're lying in California. I bet they're lying in Illinois. I bet they're lying in Michigan. And we know that the mainstream media is lying about Texas and Florida. We know that. Now, right now, this week, it's just being consumed by what's happening in Afghanistan because thousands, tens of thousands of American lives are at risk. Not only do we have a hostile country where rights don't exist, that hostile country where rights don't exist is in the hands of the Taliban. The Taliban, man. Yes, the Taliban can. The Taliban and ISIS, and who knows how many other terror groups and factions are going to show up. So, the Biden spokesman, I believe this guy is, he's like the spokesman for Biden. He's a spokesman at the Pentagon. John Kirby. He has admitted, folks, but the Taliban is in charge. And he's admitted that only 4,400 Americans have been rescued so far. I guess that fits in with the number that we got the other day when we got 300 made it out. We're like, okay, 4 days later, they've gotten it up to 4,000. Way to go, USA, USA, way to go to rescue our own people. Folks, it's a travesty. It is a shame. And then this is his quote. Not every step of this process is in our firm control. Well, whose control is it in? The Taliban. The Taliban can. You bet it's the Taliban, folks. They're the ones who probably have the most firm control. Most firm control. Now, let's go from firm to limp. And no, there won't be a commercial for Viagra over that limp comment. Oh, my God. If you're on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to Patreon, which is the best way to do these, I recommend, but make sure you are subscribed to the Prepared Mind on all the YouTube channels. All the YouTube channels. If you look in the description down below, there's the Prepared Mind, the Prepared Mind BC, John the Prepared Mind, and Prepared Mind John. The reason we have those is in case one of the channels gets taken down, you can show up at the others. But we've got this system down pretty good now. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe. All right, now limp, going limp. Get woke, go broke, folks, get this. The leftists, these radical lunatic ding-dongs, are destroying everything. I've said in order to make order out of chaos, you've got to take order or make chaos out of it. It's chaos out of the order so you can make order out of chaos, right? So they're destroying everything. Now, the New Orleans Saints, formerly known as the Aints, they're now selling tickets for less than $1. $1. Because why? Because fans have to have that's right, a special passport to get in. So NFL, New Orleans Saints, other teams, welcome to going broke. Nobody cares. Now, this is a sign of the times, folks, and this is the real reason I wanted to bring up this article, not just to laugh at the NFL and the woke idiots. When you look back in history, we're going to do a little bit of history peek back here. You look back in history, let's go to the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire knew in order to maintain control of the empire as it was starting to fail, they needed to provide two things: bread and circus, food and entertainment. Food and entertainment. So they did that. They made sure that people had enough food, and they had the Colosseum. And folks, it wasn't just the Colosseum in Rome, the Circus Maximus. They had Colosseum entertainment all over the Roman Empire, especially in Italy. Now, folks, what do you think happened as Rome fell even further? They quit supplying bread. They quit supplying the entertainment. The entertainment industry failed. The food supply system failed. The Roman Empire then crumbled extremely quickly, as regional areas had to rely on themselves and establish their own food, their own supply lines, as Rome fell all the way. What's going on today in the United States of America, and indeed around the world? What's going on? What are we being told? Oh, we can't get you food. We're gonna have to change the beef thing. You're gonna have to eat bugs. Have some impossible meat. Right? They're playing these games with our food. We're going to have to shut down these food processing plants. There's countries that are paying farmers not to plant food, not to raise cattle. Can we afford that as a human species? There's the supply. There's your bread and circus. There's the bread. And then with this story about the New Orleans Saints, people don't care about the entertainment that's being offered. It is not enough, right? The problems we have are this high. The entertainment value we're getting is shit. And no one wants to go to their big, fancy, stupid Coliseum if they have to get, you know, get a glass of poisonous Kool-Aid. Nobody wants that. Where are we at, folks? How close are we to absolute falling apart? SHTF, Mad Max, hotspots, everything. We could be a month, we could be a year, we could be 2 years, but they're certainly in the process, are they not? They're certainly in the process of turning our order into a chaotic situation. They're doing it. Get ready. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan, folks. Now, if you have a religious exemption, if you have a religious, shall we say, objection to being told what to do, there's only one place that I can put the religious exemption documents and the links to get them. How to do that, folks, how to protect yourself, right? You don't have to, if you're being chased by a bear, you don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun all the other people between you and the bear. We need to make it through all of this horseshit that's happening. So if you can do a religious exemption, do it. If you can extend the time it takes before they catch us all. And that's the idea with the religious exemption document. I just wanted to throw that out there. It is available on Patreon. Okay, here we go. Mississippi. If you break their very special Cerveza bug rules, guess what? You could face massive fines and years, folks, years of jail time with the new Mississippi rules. Now, I've talked about the South, have I not? Oh, yeah, you need to come to the South. There's free states in the South. Well, I had to kind of bug out of Mississippi because it's not quite acting like the red state it should be. And it's incredible, folks. WebMD has the information. This is not John making shit up. $5,000, up to 5 years behind bars, felony conviction if you disobey their demands. And really, what are their demands, folks? Their demands are that you allow them to violate your rights, because you really have to allow, folks. Any of these laws they're passing are not laws. They're violations of the Constitution. They're unconstitutional. Therefore, they're null and void. So if they're being enforced, they're being enforced unlawfully. If you obey them, it's only because you chose to obey them. This is what they're doing. They don't care anymore. They don't care anymore. It's incredible, folks. It's almost like, well, idiocracy is here. What comes hand in hand with idiots, folks, is chaos, mayhem, and shit hits the fan. The United States Embassy today issued it's a final alert for U.S. citizens to leave Afghanistan, or they're on their own, folks. And then 30 minutes later, they recall this message, a last alert. Do you think there's one person, American or not, who wants to stay in Afghanistan? U.S. citizens get another alert as if like we've given you 6 months to get out of Afghanistan. No, they were told, hey, get out of Afghanistan. And by the way, there's no way to get out of Afghanistan. Like anyone would want to stay there. What the hell are they thinking? And so, yeah, they pulled down this alert that they put out for U.S. citizens in Afghanistan. It's almost like, no, it's not almost like, it is exactly like a slap to the face. And then to say, stop hitting yourself. I mean, what do you do, folks? At this stage of the game, does anyone have any doubts? How can they even show up at work at the Pentagon? How can they even show up at work at the State Department, the Secretary of Defense, the Joint Chiefs? How can they show up at work and pretend that they know what the hell they're doing and that everything's fine and it's all under control? People, I mean, folks, the mainstream media, the Democrats, were bitching and complaining about Trump and the White House and how it was being run. And oh my God, it's a zoo and they don't know what they're doing. Remember that shit? Jen Psaki, that's right, Raggedy Ann is back. And she says that civilian evacuations from Afghanistan will stop before August 31st. They're not even, they don't have everyone out and they're already, folks, it's the 25th, 26th, right? That leaves, let's see, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 4 days. But folks, what they're doing is they're winding down the military presence. What does that mean, winding down military presence? They're not toys. You don't wind them up and wind them down. What they're talking about is before August 31st, they're going to have the military pulled out. I don't, it doesn't make any sense. The military, their job is to defend America, defend America's people, American citizens. These are American citizens. You think the military wants to leave and leave Americans on the ground? Right? It just reminds me of some sick, absolutely sick sci-fi movie where the helicopter lifts off and all the people down below just get mauled by a bunch of aliens. Well, that's basically what is going to happen, is all these Americans on the ground at Kabul, outside the Kabul International Airport, on August 31st are just going to be swarmed. What do you think that you think the Taliban is going to give them like a neighborhood and say, okay, this is the American sector of Kabul. We'll leave you guys alone. You know, we'll take good care of you. No, they are absolutely at risk of the worst imaginable fates. Oh, here's another one, folks. I mean, it's back and forth. Overseas, domestic. Let's see. We're supposed to protect our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. In Washington, state of Washington, parents have reported that one of their students, parents have reported one of their children. School calls them students and thinks they own them. Parents say, no, those are our children. They're American citizens. School doesn't care. What they did was they forced a student, a 15-year-old student, to wear an ankle tracking monitor if she wanted to participate in volleyball practice. They're not criminals. But this thing is designed for social distancing and contact tracing. There's a company called Triax that's making these. They want to track us. They want to trace us. They want to keep an eye on us. And they're saying, yeah, well, you know, you get to wear one of these since you're one of the bad people, since you won't conform to all of the unlawful, well, they're literally unlawful demands. There's no law behind them, so they're unlawful demands. So instead of that, you have to wear this ankle tracker. Well, here's my thing, folks. It's time to pull kids out of all public schools, period. Yeah, if you want to go to their school and if you want to play on their sports teams, then guess what? You have to play by their rules. Well, it's time to say no more. Done with it. Not going to play by your rules. You people suck. Right? This report came from Post Millennial. They are not going to quit. They're not going to go away. They're not going to back up. They're not going to give up, folks. This is unbelievable what they're doing all around the world. There's no sector in America, folks, and I go over this several times a day with friends. There's no sector that is not completely and totally jacked up by these assholes. It is full spectrum stupid. Full spectrum stupid. You ready for these numbers? Let me give you some full spectrum stupid here. There's 4,400 Americans have been rescued out of from Kabul. That means what? Depending on which report, that leaves 10, 20, 30,000 Americans that are still remaining. But the government is also claiming that 58,000 people have been evacuated. So quick math, folks, 53,600 Afghan civilians have been evacuated. Are these just the government planes, or are these the private planes? Folks, we have an incredible and historic tragedy building here. Is Joe Biden going to be censored? Is Joe Biden, and I don't mean censored media-wise, I mean censored, is he going to be impeached? Is he going to be removed, 25th Amendment? Who's going to replace him? Kamala? She may not make it back from the Far East. What is she doing over there anyways, besides embarrassing herself and the country? It's not going to be Nancy Pants. She's not going to want to, it's incredible, folks. Are we going to have a military coup? Are we going to have some sort of, what are we going to get, folks? Are they just going to absolutely suspend the Constitution and what? Nobody seems to be in charge. Nobody seems to be know what's going on. Joe Biden says, oh, I make the decisions no one else can or would make. Yeah, no one else would do this to American citizens, you jackass. We got 10, 20, 30,000 Americans still over there. Folks, that's an incredible amount of people. Back over here to domestic. If the government, the federal government, state governments, even local governments think they're going to arrest American citizens for refusal to comply, or for protesting, or for not turning in their freedom seed spreaders, forget it. Nobody is going to allow themselves to be arrested. I'm not, because I haven't violated any law. I haven't damaged any property or any person. What I'm going to describe is beyond shameful, and it's criminal. It is the denial of rights of a January 6th political prisoner, Chris Worrell. He got a call in somehow to a Greg Kelly show from jail, folks, and the guards have not given him access to his cancer drugs for 166 days. 166 days. That is over 5 months. A prisoner being held basically for trespassing under the guise of political insurrection, which the FBI says there's scant proof of any sort of organized insurrection. Meaning there's none, folks. Scant, like you can't drop 2 pebbles of sand and say that's a beach. That's scant evidence of a beach. So this is how the U.S. government treats its people. Puts them in jail, trumped up bullshit charges, no trial held, and not only do they live in absolutely filthy conditions with terrible food, they get denied access to medication that is life-saving. This is why so many people are saying, you're not taking me to jail. You're not sending me to a FEMA camp. And this is happening, folks, while we're actually supposed to believe that everything is almost normal. Almost normal. What happens when things go absolutely horribly to shit? What happens then? What kind of behavior can you expect out of the government then? What kind of behavior can you expect out of FEMA? Out of state police, out of city police, if they are absolute radical wackos, leftists, that is, these socialists that hate anything that has to do with America. Folks, our country is falling apart. And if I wasn't so pissed off, I would probably be crying real tears. This is what they're doing to our country. They're leaving our citizens overseas to rot. There's a timeline on that. They're putting our citizens in this country into prison, hoping they die. This makes what King Louis was doing to the French people look horrible. They're screwing up the food supply lines, folks, right now. Right now. That's what the French did to the French people, the French government, the French king. starving the people. What do you think King George was doing to America, the colonists? That's right, folks. He was screwing them over, trying to strangle and starve them out. Welcome to tyranny, folks. It's happening in our lifetimes, right now, under our noses. Let's go back over to Afghanistan again, shall we? The people know who's to blame for this, folks. Remember those TV commercials? And I hate them because I know that there's suffering everywhere around the world. There's suffering in South America. There's suffering in Africa. There's suffering in Southeast Asia. There's suffering in Central Asia. There's people suffering everywhere from illness, hunger, etc. But you remember those TV commercials with hungry children? Well, and now imagine children, citizens being abandoned to terrible fates. Right? Imagine all the children that are going to fall into Taliban hands. So Afghans are now cursing Joe Biden, saying, "Go to hell, Biden." They're leaving infants right outside the Kabul airport, praying that they'll be taken, praying that someone will feel sorry for them and pick them up. That's what's going on, folks, every day over there. Every day. And you think it's hot here in the United States of America? You think things are rough here? Imagine being in Afghanistan, essentially a shithole of a desert city, with Taliban and now ISIS threatening everybody. People are scrambling, trying to get on airplanes. That footage was real, folks, of people sitting on the landing gear of aircraft as they took off up into the sky, and they got blown off. Who knows how many dozens or hundreds of people have died, been run over, dragged, dropped from planes, trying to get out of there because they know that that is their only chance. More unbelievable, back here to domestic America. Governor of Oregon, the little commie Kate Brown, has announced a statewide mask mandate in all outdoor settings, folks. Be sure to put your face diaper on everywhere, indoor, outdoor, in the state of Oregon. When are Americans going to refuse to comply? When are Oregonians, Californians, New Yorkers, Illinoisans, I don't even know what they call Illinoisans. When are they going to refuse to comply? Nothing has stopped it. Nothing has slowed it down. In fact, folks, New Mexico has a requirement to get your Kool-Aid drink if you work in the medical industry. And I know now at 2 hospitals in New Mexico, these are the only 2 I have contacts in New Mexico. It's voluntary. They will not fire you because they don't have the people to replace you. Where are they going to get them? From the other state where everyone's getting fired? There's not enough people in the medical industry, and people are quitting left and right anyway. They're quitting, folks, in the investment world. They're quitting in the medical world. They're quitting everywhere. People are just saying, fuck it, I'm not doing it. They're John Galting. They're like, I'm walking away from this system. The whole thing is collapsing in front of us, and they want me to participate, pay taxes, do what they say and demand. Forget it. But they don't quit, folks. The stupid doesn't quit. You know, Governor Kate Brown, everyone, put on your face diapers, inside, outside. Right? In Mississippi, if you don't obey their rules, you get to go to jail for up to 5 years and pay incredible amounts of fines. That's America, land of the free, home of the brave. Well, I want to give you one really good story, and I've gone a little bit long. I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit peeved. A little bit peeved, folks, but that's okay. I want to give you some good news. Herschel Walker has filed papers to run as a U.S. senator in the state of Georgia against the scumbag Marxist Democrat. Now, good. Use his name recognition for the win. Folks, the fight is going to be in the political arena as well as on the street. Herschel Walker, good luck, brother. I hope you get in there and do some good. We've got nothing but trouble, folks. Right? Even during the Revolutionary War, the American colonies had their diplomats trying to communicate and get things worked out. It's going to be rough going, folks. Rough going. Let's do this. Let's switch over. Let's get to your questions, because we're here, folks. We're at the bottom half of the hour. We're going to go up and let you finish out with your questions about what the hell is going on and what we can do about it. I love that stuff. Thank you again, Mr. T. All right, Jolene, she says, we got some questions from Eli in the Wolverine State. He says, we were in Afghanistan for one reason, to increase drug traffic. This is what Eli says, folks. In 20 years, they sure upped their drug exports. That's an interesting opinion. It's hard to argue with it, because the increase in poppy fields of opium poppies, increased dramatically after the United States showed up and, well, evicted the Taliban from their seats of power. Whoops. We were told, though, we were hunting for Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, who I think ultimately, I think the third or fourth time they killed the man, he was in Pakistan, I think. Osama bin Laden. But it has been, that's an opinion that I share a lot with you on, Eli, is that our Central Intelligence Agency has been involved in narco trafficking for decades, going all the way back into the Vietnam War. So let's see, if Joe, the big guy, gets his cut, his 10%, would he care? Just a question. Would he care who runs and controls Afghanistan as long as they're producing opium, heroin? Yeah, no problem. As long as we get our cut, we'll back out. You can have the country. And we'll even we'll even throw in $85 billion worth of military equipment. Whew. Steve says this. He says, has it really set in that Biden lost the word of our country to every country in the world? Who will trust the United States government now? Would you put your trust in the United States government if you were the leader of any country? Now, Steve did not write United States government. I changed his wording from us, meaning the American people. I changed that to the United States government because it is the United States government and the United States government only in Washington, D.C. that is to blame for this. The world knows the American people are being screwed over the same way the world knows the people of Australia are being screwed over by the government of Australia. The same way we know the people of Ireland are being screwed over and the people of England are being screwed over by their respective governments. Same with France, Germany, Italy, Spain. Same with Canada, Mexico. All countries, the people are being screwed over by their governments through corruption, incompetence. No country in the world, folks, but he's absolutely right about the part about, the world is not going to trust the United States government anymore. Why should they? Even if you get a good president, let's just say we get through 4 full years of Democrat nonsense under the Biden, Kamala, Coca-Cola administration. I don't know which corporation gets to pull the strings the hardest. I just threw Coca-Cola in there because they're woke. Coca-Cola. Even if we get the Biden administration out, and let's just say we put in the Trump, DeSantis, Abbott, prepared mind administration, and we're all in there and we're trying to fix things, right? And you guys too. The Prepared Mind Network is part of the cabinet, and we're just kicking ass, right? Will the rest of the world trust us? Sure. But can they trust the government of the United States? Because in 4 years, someone else could be elected and absolutely reverse everything, and then again make more stupid decisions the way Biden has. More asinine decisions the way Biden has. Decisions so bad that it costs thousands and thousands of lives, costs billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars in treasure, creating chaos, instability, distrust, anger, hatred. Thanks, Joe Biden. Yeah, no one's going to trust the United States government. No one's going to trust the Canadian government. It doesn't matter whether it's Trudeau or some other jackass. It doesn't matter if it, in New Zealand and Australia, who the elected official is, because governments, right, they change elected politicians like dirty underwear. But it's the bureaucracy and the control system behind it. You know, the deep state, the Illuminati. They have shown their faces. In fact, I believe, if I recall correctly, that Peter Strzok in his communications, and this was way back at the beginning of the Trump administration, it came out that they had secret government that was operating to thwart, get in the way. It was admitted right in their own document that they had people in place who were going to make the Trump administration fail. Call it what you want, folks. Call it what you want. I call it treason. All right, we got Big Kaz here from Fourth Dimension Channel. I want to thank Kaz again for giving us some absolutely terrific promotional material. Here's an example here. That was a great one. Here's another one. Thank you, Kaz, for doing great work for us. And his channel, folks, if you think I'm doom and gloom, boy, I mean, I don't mean to, it's not a put down, Mr. Kaz, but you black pill the hell out of everybody saying, wake up, get prepared, right? His thing is beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. And I just can't take that many beans. Anyways, this is what Kaz says. The only thing that gives them power is your compliance. All right, that's it. I'm done. He said it right there. Talk about brevity. We know what language they speak, and we should speak it fluently. And if you don't, better get that way. Folks, Kaz is absolutely right. The only thing that gives them power is our willingness to be compliant to their rules, their fake laws. When you decide at some point as an individual, now Americans are waking up, they're saying enough of this shit, we don't like it, it doesn't make any sense. That's not the Constitution. That's not in the Declaration of Independence. That's not in the Magna Carta. That's not in the rule books. This is all a bunch of made up bullshit rules. They're not rules, folks. They are tyrannical dictates coming out of the federal government and many state governments and many cities. And it is only your willingness to obey them that gives it any authority. Now, in order to stand up to it and to say, I will not be compliant, you better stiffen up your backbone. Right? You better make sure that your cojones are in place, because there's going to be a price to pay. Because what you're doing, if you say, I refuse to comply with you, Mr. Bad Law, you have now demanded freedom. Now, government has taken freedom away with their fake laws, and you have to demand that freedom back. The government doesn't want to give up what it believes it is rightfully stolen, which means in order to get your freedom back, you have to demand it. And there's probably going to be an argument, a very loud argument. And I'm not promoting violence. I'm not encouraging it or inciting it or anything harmful or dangerous. But understand this, folks. People are going to be hurt. This is not the first time this has happened. See, civility has failed. When government breaks the law, civility fails. And we are put into a chaotic situation known as SHTF. And then, in order for civilization to come back into, law and order, equality, justice, that's civilization, a recognition of actual laws, de jure laws that the people agree with. We know what's right and wrong. We don't need laws on the books to tell us what's right and wrong. Laws, or statutes, if you will, are word games played, as Kaz points out, word games. They're word games played by the government in order to trick you into believing they are the authority figure. We're going to have a hell of a time, folks. I want you to be lawful, mindful of the law, understand the law, and understand your authority as a free human being. It's going to get tough, folks. The only way, right, they win is if you give in, if you comply with their tyrannical laws, or tyrannical rules, if you will. We got Kelly. Someone in a very small chat group I'm involved with has been flying a 747 cargo plane full of body bags, delivering all over the United States for the past 8 months, and it's increasing. Your take? Well, Kelly, is this Kelly, aka Water Trucks? Here's what I have to say about that. I have no idea what you're talking about, because I don't know this person or this group and discussing the flying around of body bags. Now, what I have seen are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of what were termed or deemed to be plastic coffin liners, and they have been distributed around the nation at many other locations, and people like Alex Jones and even Jesse Ventura in his show called Conspiracy Theory, they went around and looked at it. It's been reported on and shown that they have these coffin liners. And what the hell is a coffin liner good for? You need coffins to put in it. To me, they look more like mass burial units. Now, there's been fears over the years that they were for a United Nations invasion. There were fears that they were for the zombie outbreak apocalypse. Now we have potential. Now we have potential, folks, for many people to die. Tens of millions of people to die because their organs may fail. There's the potential. And so when we say, yeah, there's body bags being delivered, I would think that other than just the delivery guys, I think the factories that make body bags, we would get reports from people that work at those factories. Oh my God, the government just ordered 50 million body bags. If they come from China, 50 million body bags, well, that would be a lot of shipping containers. You would think that a lot more people would be talking about it. I'm not crapping on the information, Kelly, or saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it just continues to surprise me how much of this stuff is out there and is really happening and is being held down and kept quiet. I'm going the opposite. I wasn't putting down the information. I'm just saying I haven't heard anything about it, but I know about all the coffin liners. I know about all the concrete vaults. We know about all of the FEMA prisons and sites. We know about all the job offerings the government has for being a correctional institution worker. We've seen all this information, right? We've heard all of the threats. They've talked the left, including even cute little Katie Couric, about their deprogramming, re-education, Trump supporter, Marxitration camps. It's crazy. I don't know what to expect anymore, folks, except I expect the system to fail. Food and circus is failing. They have divided us, dehumanized us, and the next step is destroy, right? Divide and conquer. Demonize, dehumanize sectors of the population. And then use government authority and claim that those dehumanized people, those bad people, are the problem and destroy them, which means incarceration or extermination. It's exactly how the Germans did it, the Soviets did it, the Chinese did it, and it's happening again today. Jason Walker checks in. He says, having to quarantine at home in Mississippi, the only upside is it's with pay, and I get to listen to you live every day for 2 whole weeks. Well, Jason, sorry to hear that you are in a quarantine situation. Don't break any of their rules. Apparently, you can go to jail for up to 5 years, and it's a felony, not to mention the thousands of dollars in fines. Good golly. Good golly. I tell you. This has been sitting on my desk for a week now. This came from JJ. It's a Bigfoot Toe Jam, Northwest Blackberry. I need to put that on some toast. Crazy. All right, we got J-Man checking in. He says, since the majority of people have drank the Kool-Aid, I think slavery is a foregone conclusion. Hardly any hope left in the world. Now, I don't want you getting all negative on me, J-Man, because this is what I got for you. Let's go about it from the other end. See, you came at it and said, oh my God, we're going slavery. Let's look at it from this end over here. I'm going to go way back in history, man. How many people fought in the American Revolution? How many people fought in the American Revolution? 1%. How many people directly supported or indirectly supported the revolutionary effort? The number that's been bantered about is anywhere from 17 to 20%. Let's just round up to 20%. 20% of the people supported and or fought in the American Revolution for freedom. Now, let's take a look at the United States of America as things stand right now. It is my understanding that only 50% of the population has drank the Kool-Aid of Jim Jones, right? The suicide Jim Jones Kool-Aid. That leaves 50% that haven't. Let's just say even the number goes to 75% of the people drink the Jim Jones juice, the Kool-Aid. That leaves 25%. Now you have 75% saying slavery is fine. They're willing to do anything, even if it's dangerous. That leaves 25% on our side, the side of freedom, liberty, the Constitution, the rule of law, the Declaration of Independence, the Magna Carta, the Holy Bible. 25% over here. Go back 200 years. They won the American Revolution with 20%. Now, let's examine this a little further. This is not a light point to make. Back in the American Revolution, 1776, 20% of the people either fought in or participated and supported the revolutionary effort. Who were the other 80%, folks? Who were they? They were people who directly supported and loved the British, the English, the King of England. Now, some of those people were, I don't care either way. I don't want to get involved. I don't want, hey, I don't want to be blamed for nothing. I don't want to get in trouble. There were people who were, basically cowards, neutral. They would just do whatever they were told by whoever was in their face. Okay. They were hardcore pro-England. And there were people that just wanted to be left alone and were afraid. And all of them, folks, whether they loved the king or were afraid, would snitch on that 20%. That's right. There was see something, say something in 1776. 1776, see something, say something, screw your fellow American colonist. So these 20%, folks, that fought in and directly supported the revolutionary effort was a very small percentage of the population. So anyone who refuses the Jim Jones juice, guess what? People are going to snitch on us. They're going to hate us. Whether it's 50%, 40%, 30%, 25%, 20%, whatever it is, right? They will snitch on us and hate us and turn us in. It is going to get ugly. But to say that it's over with, that we can't win, that everyone's happy with their slavery, they're not. There is a huge percentage of Americans right now that are extremely pissed off. They see exactly what's going on, and well, there's no revolution going on, folks, and I'm not calling for insurrection or revolution, but people are thinking it. They're thinking secession. They're thinking non-compliance. They're thinking something has to be done. All of that energy is being contained in this pressure vessel, and it's going to pop its lid. Not kind of like a pressure cooker. Pressure's going to build up till it blows the top and the steam starts letting off, folks. They're building pressure right now. They're trying to get as many people to drink the Jim Jones juice. I love how we changed the name from tequila shots and Jim Jones juice. It's great. Everyone loves tequila. Anyways, let us do this, folks. They're never going to willingly stop coming after us. Ultimately, it's going to result in trouble. Most of the population are actually just cowards, fools, and just fearful souls that have no idea. They're unintelligent, they're uninformed. There is a significant population out there that absolutely hates us and is calling for our death and the death of America. All we can do at this particular moment in time, remember, this is a process that's playing out. We're not at the beginning. We're not at the very end, but we're somewhere here where it's going to start getting really nasty. Best thing you can do is have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and a means of self-defense. Have a plan to deal with that 10-mile radius around you. Here's you, 10-mile radius around you. Know who's out there. What are your resources? Food, water, shelter. Who are your allies? Is it a good area, a bad area? Do you need to leave? Should you stay put? Do you need to fortify your house? How would you fortify your house? Lots of questions, folks. Lots of questions. All right, we got Uman. He says, I've been thinking the botched exit strategy might be intentional. And he's speaking of Afghanistan. To give us a reason to stay, go back in there without Potato Joe losing face by canceling Trump's deal outright. I mean, it's very possible, man. I looked at this and thought, if the Taliban and ISIS come in and just start killing Americans, the outrage here would be beyond the pale. The demand to go in there and exterminate these evil people. It's a very real possibility. My question is, why even try getting out at all? I wish I knew the exact reason they bungled this so badly, but I keep coming back to, they did it intentionally, and they really are that stupid. They're just that stupid. They intentionally don't care. They intentionally don't give a shit about us. They intentionally want to piss off America. They intentionally want to piss on America. It's horrifying. We got Mark. He says, John, how can you call Biden President Biden when less than a year already, been 2 wars pretty much? Israel and Jordan, then USA and Afghanistan. There was none of this when Trump was president. Here's how this works, Marks. When I speak of President Gigi Biden, I speak with a facetious tone, a tone of no respect, a tone of no confidence in my vote for him, my belief in him. What I don't like is them, the globalists, the Democrats. They pretended like Trump was running wild and that if only they were in charge, everything would be fine. So I want to give them full credit for fucking everything up. Okay, President. Okay, Mr. Man. As that lady said in was the movie Misery. She kept calling the book writer Misery, right? Mr. Man, right? You want to be the boss? Okay, Democrats, you're in charge of everything. You've bullied the United States Supreme Court. Bullied them. Absolutely bullied them. Where we're getting reports that they're afraid of BLM because Democrat mayors and governors allowed them to run roughshod and commit huge acts of violence. So the Supreme Court was afraid that more would happen if they made any rulings that would piss them off. Just stunning bullshit. The Supreme Court, the House of Representatives, the United States Senate, the administration, the presidential administration, not to mention, folks, that they now control the Pentagon, as well as the entire bureaucratic structure, which was already deep state, left-wing globalist crap. They control everything. And what are they doing? What are they doing? They're fucking up Afghanistan. They've screwed up our economy. What else have they done? Right? What are they doing right now? Right? They're pointing at you and me, God-fearing, gun-toting, law-abiding, tax-paying. Name a good quality that an American can have, and we have it. And they're calling us the domestic violent extremists. We are the potential domestic terror threat. They're looking at us and saying we are white supremacists. Lie, lie after lie. And that's our government. I want them to have full credit. You want it, fuckers, you own it. That's why I call him in a facetious way, right? President Biden. Not through any other confidence in the system. Yeah. Not mad at you. It's a great point, though. I'm glad because you asked that, dude. I got to answer it that way. Thank you. All right. This is Greg. He says, John, we in Louisiana have a Democratic governor and New Orleans has a Democratic mayor. We are back to face diaper mandates. I guess we are going to have to take the Kool-Aid to get services next. Well, Greg, the choice is yours. The choice is yours. Now, when I sit down to have a big old bowl of just smoking hot, steamy gumbo, I do not have to wear a mask. I just people need to say no and mean it. I'm not telling anyone to violate any statute, law, order, command, dictate, but let me predict what's going to happen. People are going to say no. And like the people in northern Florida, those guys over there are pretty crazy. They showed up at a parent-teacher conference. No, not a parent-teacher conference, a school board meeting, and said, you're not going to arrest us. You're not going to kick us out. When they showed up and they talked about it and said, look, we've got guns. We are well armed. We are the people. We outnumber you. And you, school board, are violating the law. And you're not going to violate our law. They're not going to violate our rights. And you're not going to use the police to violate our rights. And guess what? The sheriff backed down because the sheriff knows the law and the sheriff knows what's right. The sheriff knows what is morally correct. And in that instance, they backed down and did not arrest anybody because they do not have the right nor authority. They don't have the power. All they have are guns and badges. And if that's all you have is a gun and a badge, you may as well not even have the badge if you don't have the real law behind you. If you don't have the confidence of the people behind you, then you are not the law. It's getting that bad, folks. And I'm not pushing for violence. They are pushing on us with these mandates. The people of Louisiana and New Orleans, I want to see them step up and start acting like free people. The people of Texas act like free people. The people of Missouri, Tennessee, Illinois, Indiana, California. Name your state. Name your country. People of Australia, stand up for yourselves. I'm not saying do commit acts of violence. I'm saying stand up for yourselves. What happens after you stand up for yourself is not my business. It's your business. When the time comes, folks, I will be standing for myself. When somebody proposes that I obey their ridiculous mandate, which is a total violation of my constitutional right to life, liberty, pursuit of my happiness, the ownership of property, the ability to travel freely, to conduct business, to seek and obtain medical help, whatever it is that I need to do as a free human. When someone interferes with that, I will have to stand up for myself. And it's going to get messy out there, folks, because everyone needs to stand up for themselves and say and demand, I want law and order. I want my rights respected. You're going to get out of my face with that shit right now. We're not complying with illegal laws, unlawful laws, unconstitutional laws. Whew. It's going to come to that, folks. Kaz, are you happy with that shit? Are you happy about it? Vaughn? Folks, are you happy with what the government is doing to the whole world? What the government is doing to our nation? What the government is doing outside our front doors? No. They're trying to tell us that the world is got a severe case of sniffles, and that it's so bad that they have to tell us what to do. I look out the door, folks, and I don't see it. I drive by the hospital and I don't see it. There's always sick people at the hospital, folks. I don't see what they're talking about, though. Kaz says this: when are people going to wake up and realize we cannot coexist anymore? We no longer consent to be governed by a corrupt system and can no longer coexist with the authoritarian bootlickers. I can't coexist with the authoritarian boots. You asked, when are people? This is a question. When are people going to wake up and realize we cannot coexist anymore? Question mark should be there. I'm not picking on you, Kaz. It's a question. It's as much a statement as a question. I get it. People are realizing it right now. And the only reason, folks, this discussion sounds radical. The only reason this talk, this dialogue between me, you, questions, is because the political leftists, these totalitarian, tyrannical, despotic, socialist, Marxist, fascist scumbags are demanding that we surrender our rights, our lives, our wealth, our freedoms to them. That is the only reason we're having this discussion. I would much rather be talking to you about Wall Street investments. I would much rather be talking to you about how do we fix the economy? How do we fix the monetary system? How do we prepare in case our infrastructure, our power, water, our fuel infrastructure starts to fail? Right? I would rather talk about solutions to the problems that are going to cause SHTF to happen. Little examples of it, right? Hot spots of trouble, kind of like Northern California is just covered in frickin' fires. That is SHTF on a local level that can be addressed. And I would rather be talking about how to fix that. Well, what you do is, well, first you get the fires put out, and then you do forest management, right? And then you make sure you have proper funding, you have proper personnel and equipment to combat fires. And the moment they happen, Governor Newsom, you don't send your firefighters out of California into Oregon. You put out the fires in California. You send fire. You don't close down fire camps, Governor Newsom, like he did. He shut down a huge fire camp up in Northern California where the Dixie Fire is burning. And the Dixie Fire practically burned all the way to this prison fire camp. That's right, folks. Prisoners in California, they have the ability to go to camp, learn how to be a firefighter, and learn a useful trade, and then help the people of California. I consider it to be a good program, one that is a form of restitution for the crimes they've committed, and it helps protect the state, the resources. The beauty of California, folks, is not in the middle of Los Angeles or in the middle of the Bay Area or in the middle of Sacramento. The beauty of California is its beautiful forests everywhere. It's beautiful deserts, it's beautiful lakes. There's so much beauty to California, and they're just destroying it. DDG checks in. Hello, Didi. She writes this. John, what is up with this mysterious Havana syndrome? Direct pulse radio frequency, strange sounds, brain fog, memory loss. What is this now? What a world, what a world. Our brains, folks, are electrical powered biocomputers. Our brain matter is a fatty substance, folks, that can retain knowledge. It is a hard drive, but it's kind of mushy. So it's a huge soft drive, our brains. They require oxygen, they require nutrients, blood, energy, sugar. Our brain consumes massive amounts of energy. Our largest veins in the body, right, aren't the ones that go to your muscles. Well, I guess the aorta does, but it also branches off in your jugular. The brain consumes a huge amount of energy. because if you think it does, right? If you use your brain, you use more. It's an electrical system. It's a computer. Now, what have we talked about with regard to computers in our homes, radios, cars, appliances, everything that we're worried about? An EMP, electromagnetic pulse, destroying, frying it. What that is, all an EMP is, folks, is it's free electrons. It is a pulse, right? It's an overpowering or overwhelming of the system, and it will destroy computers. Now, we're talking about this Havana syndrome. The human mind is susceptible to frequency modulation because it is basically an electronic computer. And so if they put the right frequencies out there, certain radio frequencies, microwave frequencies, AM, FM, what frequency is it, folks? I don't know, because I don't do mind interference, mental interference. But those frequencies are known. And if you turn the power up high enough, right, guess what? You can interfere with the way people think and their body function. That's one of the concerns with the 5G towers, is the frequency of the microwave transmissions, the density of, the wavelength of, that it's harmful to humans, our health, our minds, etc. So down there in Cuba, if we're talking about Havana, what's going on in Havana, Cuba, they have, their people are protesting, and they need to stop them, right? And so our government, the government all around the world, they know, they have this information, folks. In fact, there's companies that make directed energy weapons. I'm going to use that term very loosely, for crowd control. They have a weapon that they can point at someone that heats their skin, right, so that they run away. They have sound weapons, sonic weapons that will, cause huge amounts of pain on our eardrums because they're sensitive to particular frequencies. Our ears are particular, they pick up sound frequency modulation. That's hearing. Our eyes see photons. The visible light spectrum is what we call it because it's visible to us. That can be interfered with. Bright lights, right? Sound, frequencies that mess with people's heads, so that it's difficult to think, or you're confused. They have a weapon that they can aim for crowd control that causes people to vomit, throw up, lose control of their bowels, because there are particular frequencies which cause interference in the body to shut down, break down, fail, etc. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if these weren't being used on people. Whew. Now we got Shrek checks in. He says, I've been told it will be insubordination at work, not taking the Kool-Aid juice. I don't blame you. Insubordination, folks. There's many people here on the Prepared Mind Network and Patreon that have very good paying jobs, very important jobs, very much needed, essential jobs. And they're like, well, what is my choice? You have a choice to comply, folks. You don't apparently have a right to work in this country. You have a right to be told what to do and to be treated like a pile of shit. That's what the government thinks. That's what companies think. As described earlier, 2 hospitals I know of, and this is just an example, folks. 2 hospitals in New Mexico said, the people, we're not taking it. And so they said, well, I guess we're not firing you then. They're going to shut down the hospitals. They're going to shut down all the police departments. Are they going to shut down the prisons? Are they going to shut down food production? Are they going to shut everything down because people are like, no, fuck you, I'm not taking it. I'm not going to drink the Jim Jones Kool-Aid. Not doing it. I'm not going to have a repeat of French Guiana in my life. Nuh-uh, not happening. Sue F checks in. Folks, we've gone long. I can tell that you're pretty darn pissed off because, well, I am too. Sue F checks in and says, is it true that a legal case in Nova Scotia, a plaintiff demanded they present lab proof of cerveza bug and the defendant, the government, could not? mandates were dropped. I believe it wasn't Nova Scotia, but it was Alberta, Canada. That we had video links to that on Patreon. I would like to get those reposted. See if we can, Jolene, repost those videos. But yeah, that was the story. That was what was being reported, that, yeah, they had to drop all of their mandates because evidence was demanded. The government said, well, we don't have the evidence. And the court said, well, then you lose, fuckheads. I would like to see more of that. I would like to see that come out here in America. I would like to see that announced. We're not seeing it announced, which is, to me, suspect. Right? There are rules in place to protect us from abusive government. There are mandatory requirements on them, not on us. It is, the burden of proof is supposed to be on the government for anything they do. The burden of proof that it's constitutional. The burden of proof that it is necessary. Right? There has to be necessity. You can't just say, well, we're doing this because we feel like it. There has to be a reason to do it. Because any power or authority exercised by the government has an effect on our rights, direct or indirect. And so therefore they have to not only have the authority, they have to have a reason to do it, a legitimate reason. And according to this case up in Canada, there was, the facts didn't support their case, either legally or to legitimately take action. Let's move on if we can. We got Rick O'Connell. He says, John, haven't made it here in a while, getting my house in order for SHTF. That's a good idea, brother. He says, should be ready to go RMZ hunting soon. Looking for 2 to 5 acres for homesteading. Keep doing the things, brother. Semper Fi. Yep, folks, keep prepping. Keep moving towards your plan. Keep putting 2 and 2 together, and 2 and 2 equals 4, not 5, 6, or 44. Figure out what's happening in your world so you can be as prepared as possible when there's that moment, folks. Whether it's a Lexington and Concord moment, or whether it's a Walking Dead moment, whether it's a Wolverines moment, you know, Red Dawn, whatever moment we're going to get, folks, whether it's military, terror, zombie, Nazi, I don't know what's going to happen, if we're going to get a little bit of all of it all over the place. Just be fully prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. No matter what the emergency, those are the requirements for you to make it. Have it in order, folks. Have it together. Understand what is happening. Collect all the information you can. Help others, folks. Share these videos. Mr. T, we need a video put together for sharing information, the importance of sharing. The reason we're doing these promo videos now, folks, is because people learn by listening and by seeing. So if we can do a visual presentation, and Mr. T has been keen on doing these, then yeah, I need a video that says share, so I can hit that share button, and it shows you need to share this with everybody. Let them decide they're not going to do anything, and they're going to put themselves in danger and risk and all that. Our job is to prepare for ourselves, help others realize they need to prepare, and we all decide, folks. Are you going to comply with intelligent thought, or are you going to comply with ridiculous demands? Does the Constitution matter, or their bullshit emergency measures? Do I have a right to life, or do they have a right to take mine? These are all questions we can ask, folks. Do you value your life more than your liberty? Because if you do, you can gladly give your life to someone else. If you value your liberty, then your life is your own and you have to live it. And if someone's trying to take it, you have to defend it. Folks, it's an absolute complete mess. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Godspeed. God bless America. Semper Fi, and I'll be back.